The internet today is already awash with lists about ridiculous, strange, and weird laws from across the world. What many will not tell you is that most of these laws are no longer enforced today. Imagine not getting arrested for frowning in Milan, or naming your pig after Napoleon in France. Here, we have a list of 10 ridiculous laws from across the world that are still in effect today. These aren't just rules jotted down on some parchment, they have actually caused legal trouble for people in this era. Continue to watch on. Number 10. Connecting to someone else's Wi-Fi. In Singapore, connecting to someone else's Wi-Fi hotspot without permission would result in 3 years imprisonment and a fine of 10,000 Singapore dollars. The law is part of Singapore's Computer Misuse and Cybersecurity Act, which considers such behavior as hacking. In 2006, 17-year-old teenager became the first person to be arrested and prosecuted for using someone else's Wi-Fi without permission. He was not sent to prison because he was underage. Instead, he got 18 months probation, part of which he was to spend at home. He was banned from using the internet while the probation lasted. The judge stated the ban was necessary because he was also addicted to the internet and online gaming. Number 9. What happens when you marry someone your parents don't like? In November 2010, Frenchman Stéphane Sage was hours away from tying the knot with his Hong Kong girlfriend, Mandy, when his parents ruled against the marriage. Sage's parents were able to cancel the wedding because of an old French law passed in 1803 that allowed parents and grandparents to overrule the wedding of their children and grandchildren. Originally, Sage's parents opposed the marriage because Mandy was only marrying their son to gain French nationality. In court, they claimed Mandy was a Chinese spy. The court determined that Sage could marry Mandy, since his parents had no tangible reason for opposing the marriage. Number 8. Getting drunk in a bar, Alaska, US. If there is one place most people end up drunk, it is definitely in a bar. So it is somewhat ironic that Alaska passed a law banning people from getting drunk in a bar. The law was introduced after the state government realized drunk people committed the majority of crimes in Alaska. Alaskan cops took to enforcing the law in 2012. Undercover police officers visited random bars to arrest drunk patrons. Bartenders weren't spared either, since they could also be arrested for selling alcohol to a drunk person. Since there is no way of certifying if someone was drunk, cops only arrested people who are vomiting, falling off stools, or being a constant nuisance. Number 7. Chewing gum, Singapore. Chewing gum has been banned in Singapore since 1992. The ban was part of the policies introduced by the Prime Minister to turn Singapore into a first world country. The law was passed because people were fond of sticking their chewing gum on pavements and the train doors. This often created problems, especially on the train doors. During an interview with the Prime Minister in 2000, Peter Day of the BBC mentioned that chewing gum could promote creative thinking. He responded saying it is nothing short of an act of mischief. He added that anyone who could not be creative without chewing should just chew a banana instead. Singapore relaxed the ban in 2004, when the government permitted pharmacists and dentists to sell medical chewing gum. Therefore, chewing gum lovers need a medical prescription. However, tourists are given permission to bring limited amounts of gum into the country, for personal use only. Number 6. Compulsory tests for HIV. In 2012, the government of Greece introduced Public Health Decree 39A, a controversial law that permits the police to arrest people on suspicion of being HIV positive and test them against their will. Anyone found positive will have their pictures and personal details published in the newspapers. They can also lose their jobs and be evicted from their homes without warning. The law was passed in 2012, after Greece witnessed a spike in new HIV infections. Between 2011 and 2012, it experienced a 200% increase in new HIV cases. The spike was believed to be the result of massive unemployment, drug abuse across the capital, and a cut in the budget for HIV prevention programs. However, the government preferred chasing shadows instead of solving the problem from the root. In 2012, police rounded up hundreds of women and tested them. 17 tested positive. The government published their details and pictures in the papers and on the internet. The government labeled them as prostitutes, even though there was no evidence to prove such. Even if there was, it was unethical to say the least. Number 5. Sharing your Netflix password, Tennessee, US. Tennessee has a law forbidding residents from sharing their Netflix passwords with anyone. The law does not apply to Netflix specifically, but to every entertainment site that requires subscription. The law is somewhat ironic, since Netflix allows users to share their passwords with up to 4 people. The law is not new, it is actually an update of an already existing law, to prevent cable TV subscription theft. Unsurprisingly, the update was backed by the Recording Industry Association of America, which was concerned with people illegally sharing music. While the law is mostly targeted towards hackers, who are responsible for selling login details, and subscribers who send their logins to a number of people, legislators agree that innocent users can be arrested for breaking the law. Offenders who used up $500 worth of the service could be slammed with a $2,500 fine and a year imprisonment, while offenders who go above the $500 mark will get more serious penalties. Number 4. Being in possession of a permanent marker while on private property, Oklahoma City, U.S. In December 2010, an unnamed 13-year-old student at Roosevelt Middle School was placed under citizen's arrest by one of his teachers because he wrote on a paper with a permanent marker. The teacher claimed that the unnamed boy had also written on his desk with the marker. An officer of the Oklahoma City Police Department took the boy to a juvenile detention center. A spokesperson for Roosevelt Middle School stated that the district will investigate the incident after school had resumed from winter break. The boy's arrest had nothing to do with the fact that he wrote on his desk with a marker. The problem was the marker. Ordinance 35-202 of Oklahoma City makes it illegal for anyone to be in possession of spray paint or permanent marker on private property without prior permission. The law was passed to prevent people from making graffiti on private property, but seemed very harsh for a 13-year-old to be arrested for it. We could not find more information about the decision reached by the school district, but we suppose it was favorable to the boy. Number 3. Insulting the monarchy of Thailand. The Majesty Law of Thailand forbids anyone from insulting the royal family. The law is very controversial in Thailand, where it has been used unjustly to target political opponents. However, it becomes more controversial the moment we realize the king's dog is considered a part of the royal family, and anyone who insults the dog can be punished. In 2015, a Thai man stood before a court and faced up to 37 years imprisonment for making satirical comments about the king's dog. The dog in question was a mongrel, and he was the late king's favorite dog. He loved the dog so much that he wrote a book about it. The book was later made into an animated film that became the second highest box office earner in its year of release. The accused supposedly made a Facebook post, making a mockery of the dog. Thailand's censorship laws also meant that newspapers could not print whatever the accused supposedly posted, so therefore not many people knew the details of the post because of it. Number 2. Mowing the lawn on Sunday, Germany. Germany has over 82 million people, which is roughly 1/4 of the population of United States. Even though it is just 3.7% the size of the US. Germany has lots of people crammed in very limited space. One of the consequences of having too many people in a small space is the noise. Lots of noise in fact. To counteract this, Germany introduced rest time. This is when people are expected to not make noise during a certain period of the day. The time varies from state to state, but is generally from 8 o'clock to 10 p.m. However, all states observe this during the whole of Sundays and public holidays. Noise is strictly forbidden during this time. No one is allowed to mow their lawns, rev their cars, play loud music, or even use the washing machine if they live in an apartment. This has also led to some very interesting legal issues. When one neighbor complained that the frogs in his neighbor's pond disturbed him at night, the court decided that frogs are a part of nature, and the neighbor should use earplugs to help the situation. When another complained about his neighbor's dog barking too much, the court ruled the dog should bark for no more than 30 minutes a day. Number 1. Publicly playing the national anthem twice a day, Thailand. Radio stations, TV stations, and loudspeakers all over Thailand start playing the Thai national anthem at 8 in the morning and 6 in the evening every day. Everyone is expected to stand at attention at that moment. People sitting will rise, people walking will stop, and everything will come to a standstill until the anthem is over. In some places, people can still be arrested for not stopping while the anthem is playing. The public playing of the Thai anthem is part of several laws introduced by the Prime Minister in 1932. He also demanded that all Thai nationals to know the anthem by heart, eat with spoons and forks, wear shoes, and dress in Western fashion. They were also expected to eat a maximum of 4 times a day. In 2007, some retired Army generals proposed the law to be amended and include cars. That way, cars would also come to a standstill until the anthem was over. The National Legislative Assembly stated that the proposed amendment could cause confusion, and to set up a panel to look into it.